Hello and welcome to the LCEF Economic Opportunity Fund webinar. Today we'll be reviewing the nonprofit application. If you've joined us and you're either a business or an individual today, the webinar will still be extremely beneficial because the main meat and questions of the application are the same for all three application types. However, today we're going to focus on the nonprofit application. The individual webinar is on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. So I hope you get as much information as you need to out of this webinar, but please know that you can always contact either myself, Lisa, or Dorian at our phone number, which is 504-895-2800. I'm going to scroll down. This is the homepage of culturaleconomy.org. Hopefully you can see the contact us information here. And here are our emails, lisa@culturaleconomy.org and dorian@culturaleconomy.org. Either of us can answer any questions that you have about the grant program in general or about your specific application. Again, I just want to reiterate the questions box on your little system panel is where you can ask questions during the presentation. And following the presentation, I will answer all of the questions and click the raised hands for anyone who wants to ask a question verbally. Currently, all of your lines are muted, so we're not able to hear you if you try to speak. So I'd like to start by pointing out a couple of things on our website. This is the homepage of culturaleconomy.org. Hopefully you're familiar with it. Hopefully you're all subscribed to our digital newsletter. We send out a newsletter once a month. It's called Cultural Connections. Got a lot of information in there about LCEF-related events as well as other cultural things going on in the state. And I'm circling this right now. This is where you click to sign up for that newsletter if you're not already signed up. And this is, of course, where you can find out about our grant program, about the deadlines, and any news related to that. I also want to point out this resources tab here. We try to do our best to point out as many resources that are available to our cultural workers as we can. So you can see these different categories called artists, contests, funding and grants, which is always a big question. So, you know, since LCEF has limited funding and we only have one grant round, we like to try to point out as much other funding as we're aware of that can benefit our Louisiana cultural workers. Right now I'm going to switch to the EOF grant tab, and if you click on guidelines, that's where you can find all of the information about our Economic Opportunity Fund grant, which is what I'm talking about today. You can go to each of these little boxes in the guidelines for specific information, or you can click on the top one and scroll through, which I'll show you in a second. So we're on the webinar right now. I'm going to go over the deadlines right now real quick. You click the read more on these little panels in our website. It brings you to the full information on that subject. So just so you know, the grant deadline for this round is Friday, August 31st at 5 o'clock p.m. This is an online submission. We only accept things online. We will not accept anything via email or mail or paper or anything like that. So this is the hard deadline for the online submission. And then, as I mentioned, you can click the next category to scroll through to the grant round. I'm going to talk to you about some other dates that we have coming up. Of course, you're on the nonprofit webinar now. The individual webinar is on Tuesday. We have a deadline on August 15th that you might be interested in. Dorian and I will review drafts of your applications and offer feedback on, you know, how we can think you can submit the most competitive application possible. And if you'd like to submit a draft for our review, you can do that by August 15th, and we'll be happy to either discuss it verbally with you or you know, go over it with you, send you email suggestions. What you will do in that case is contact us when you have the draft ready to go, and we will log into your account and look at it in the online system. That's probably the easiest way for us to do it. And then we have the other deadlines here, August 31st for the grant application, with awards being announced no later than November 1st, so that the grant checks will be issued before the end of the year of 2012. I just want to point out a couple of other things in our guidelines. I'm going to go back to the main guidelines page. Hopefully you're familiar with the purpose of our grant, which is designed to increase the entrepreneurial capacity and economic health of the cultural economy producers. Sometimes this is real obvious for individuals and businesses, but for nonprofits, it's a bit of a stretch because nonprofits are not used to having a source of earned income. So what our goal with this grant is to fund a unique idea that will produce a new stream of revenue for you. And like I said, as a nonprofit, this is sometimes a difficult concept. However, I know, being a nonprofit ourselves, that in this economic climate with the limited funding resources we have available, that it's important for all of us to start to think in terms of where we can diversify our funding sources by adding some earned revenue components. So that's our goal, what we want to help you with this grant program. So as long as you are a nonprofit organization with a, part of your mission is a cultural, you have a cultural aspect to your mission, and you're based in Louisiana, you're eligible to apply for a grant. Another thing I will point out is that in the past, if you applied for an LCEF grant before, you know that the maximum amount we have funded for nonprofits in the past was $5,000. Unfortunately, we've had to reduce that maximum down to $2,500 this year. So nonprofits will only be, and businesses actually, will only be able to apply for a maximum of $2,500, which is the same as individuals. I am going to now shift to going to the actual application. If you click on the home page of culturaleconomy.org, and this is the information about the web seminars, either here with this arrow here in the scroll, or in this little menu bar underneath the top scroll of our website. You can click on 2012 EOF applications now open. You click the Read More button. This takes you to the page where the actual buttons that you will click to go into the online application can be found. So in this case, we're going to click Apply Now for an EOF Nonprofit Grant. We have no questions yet today, right, Ms. Dorian? Just to let you know, if you have a question during the presentation, please go ahead and enter it in the questions box. We'll be happy to try to answer it as they are received. This first screen that you're going to come to is the login page for our online application system. If you've never applied with us before, you're going to have to click the first time user, click here to create your password and create your login information. If you have applied before, then you do not need to create a new account because your account lives on here. So you will enter your email address and your password that you set up previously. If you don't remember this login information, you can contact Dorian, or you can click the Forgot Your Password button here, and someone from our online service will get in touch with you. So once you log in, most of you will just have, one organization associated with your login. Since I'm creating 3 different mock applications, I have these different organizations associated with my login. So I'm clicking my arts organization because that's what I'm talking to you about today. You come to this welcome page, and it'll say your name so you'll know you're in the right spot. If you scroll down, you'll see where it says welcome page, contact information, organization information. These are all the sections of the application. These actions down here are, you can see the applications I've submitted in the past, and then you can see the applications I'm currently working on. So I'm going to click Continue. So for example, if you have applied in the past, you can click View and go look at what your application said in the past. Or you can click Start a New Application if this is your first time or if you're starting a brand new application. I'm going to click Continue because this is an application I've been working on. So that's one of the great features about the online system is that you can save the information for later and come back to it. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. So this is, you have to click this checkbox, match this individual to associate this with this application. I'm going to click Save and Proceed. Okay, this organization information is the first page you're going to come to in the application. If you are applying as a collaborative, then this box at the top is where you're going to list your partners. You can, collaborative applications are anytime either two nonprofits want to get together, one or more, or businesses or individuals, any combination thereof. So if you have any questions about a collaborative application, you can get in touch with me at our office or my email. But basically you choose one person as the leader of the collective, and they would take the lead on the application, and the other partners would be listed in this box. For your federal tax ID number, the thing I want to note is that you only include the numbers. If you include the dashes, it's not going to accept it going forward. It's going to say it's an invalid tax ID number. So I just wanted to point that out. So then you just enter all of your contact information, website, social media, a description of your organization, or you can just put your mission statement so that we know, what your organization does on a regular basis. We have an artistic discipline drop down. You can just select the one that most closely relates to what you do. So I'm clicking multidisciplinary because I serve all disciplines. And then, the rest of the demographic information. Optional fiscal agent contact information. If you're a nonprofit organization that does not have a 501c3 status, you can apply under a fiscal agent. In this case, your organization would fill out all the rest of the organization information, and the fiscal agent would, either you or the fiscal agent would fill out the information for the fiscal agent contact. In that case, the check would be made out to the fiscal agent. So if you have any questions about how it works with a fiscal agent organization, you can contact us. This is not required fields because not everybody has a fiscal agent, so I'm going to leave it blank and click Save and Proceed. Okay, this is the part of the application about your opportunity. So this is where I'm going to talk about what we're looking for and how you can construct these questions, different ideas of questions to ask yourself to make sure you're giving us enough detail. And I have created kind of a mock idea for you. So first, the opportunity title, which is a little bit more important than you think, because we want to kind of get a snapshot of what you're applying for. So I can look at this title and really see what you're trying to do. So with my mock application, I'm creating an earned income model for my nonprofit with a fee-based workshop series. So in my little mock answers, I've come up with some kind of guidelines and questions you can ask yourself, and then make a little bit of a mock answer to the question. So the description of opportunity should be a brief description of the opportunity, but it should include enough detail that I can read this description and get a really good snapshot of what you are trying to do. So for example, it would be a description of your idea, maybe how you came up with the idea, why you think there's a need for the idea, what do you need us to fund in order to execute the idea, how will it benefit your organization. So just an overall description of what you're trying to do. So for example, Lisa's cultural organization has established a relationship with a group of craftspeople who teach workshops on crafts and cultures that are indigenous to our area. Many people who have come to our programs and performances have expressed interest in learning some of the techniques. So in order to create an earned income model, we'd like to create a fee-based series of workshops. So I'm explaining kind of how it came to be and what we want to do. And it really should go on to say, these are to explain some more about the planning and some of the things that are going to be needed in order to execute it. Okay. What makes this opportunity unique for your organization? So In the previous contact information, you have given us, a brief description of your organization, your mission statement. In this question, we want to know, how is what you're trying to do here different from your normal operations? One of the things about the LCEF EOF grant is we do not fund regular normal operations or program expense. We only fund anything that would be related to the idea you have to generate new income. So, for example, in this question, what are your normal programs and how is this different from your normal programs? How is it going to complement the mission? What's it going to do to benefit your organization? And what maybe, how did the opportunity get introduced to you? So, for example, I have that our cultural organization usually offers programs and performances, but we've never offered any kind of workshop. And, this opportunity came to us. We performed a partnership with this group of people who are skilled in these areas. They've offered to teach these classes for us. And, you can go on to discuss any other details associated with that, how it makes it unique for you. How will you earn income as a result of the opportunity? It's important for us to know as much detail as possible about how this is going to translate into earned income. And the example I've chosen is with workshops, but really this could apply with anything. In the past, we've had people start to tell us about how much they're going to charge for the workshop, how many people they anticipate for the workshop, and what their normal ongoing expenses for the workshop will be. And it's not really showing that it's going to be able to support itself in the long term. So be careful if you're going to give us, detailed information about sales projections and things like that, that it does show that it will be a program that will be able to sustain itself. So in this question, for example, how much are you going to charge? How much profit will you make? How do you know there's a demand? Who is your competition? Who's already shown interest in it? So we talk about including relevant distribution and sales channels, established connections, current demand. A lot of people have great ideas that they present to us, but they don't have any kind of evidence showing that someone is going to want to pay for whatever the idea is. So anything that you can do, even if it's, informal, asking people or doing research about your competition or anything else that's in the area that's similar, is going to strengthen your case. So, I've said, for example, we're going to charge $100 for a 2-week workshop. Then I'm, figured out how much we have to pay the instructor, how much we have to pay for supplies, and we're going to earn $50 per person per workshop. So I wish this was a real workshop that I was offering, because it's going to bring in an additional $10,000 of revenue per year for my organization, which I think is a great start. So, that's just an example of how you can break it down with the finances to show. If you don't have that information at the time of your application, it's okay. It's just, what other supporting details do you have to show us how it is going to result in, an earned income opportunity. Then what are the long-term financial benefits? We want to know that this is not just a one-time shot. A lot of times people will say, oh, I'm going to have an event and I'm going to charge admission and, sell things at the event. Will that qualify? Well, it's not the best example of what we fund, because it's not an ongoing source of revenue. It's just that one time. Or even if it is annual, it's not sustained throughout the year. So we want to see both long-term, how is it going to continue to earn revenue for you, and hopefully ongoing throughout the year, it's going to create some stream of revenue. So, maybe in this long-term plan, you have ideas where you can expand the proposed idea to diversify your revenue stream. For example, if you're requesting a piece of equipment or something like that, maybe you have other ideas of how the equipment could be used. So I have in my example here that long-term, we're going to start out with a craft workshop, but then we're going to expand to other disciplines down the line. So we see how this one idea can kind of take off and blossom into other ideas. Then location of opportunity, just put, the area where you're located or the area where you're going to be doing whatever it is that you're proposing. Your marketing plan is pretty important because we want to know, you might have a great idea, but how are people going to find out about it? And it might seem, it might be very obvious, like different things you can do in-house. It doesn't necessarily have to be paid media because, of course, we know many of us, especially nonprofits, can't really afford that. But your PSAs, your free advertising, public relations, your, in-house, you can market to your current members. Or maybe whatever this opportunity is will allow you to branch out and reach a completely new customer. So, talk about who it is that is going to take advantage of the opportunity and then how you're going to reach them. Of course, we all have social media now, which is can be an important part of marketing. Or, maybe getting the word out through partner organizations. Any type of way you get the word out, is important to know in terms of marketing your idea. So I have that we're going to send a mailer to our current members and use the print piece to promote classes in-house as well. I'm going to create a special web page for the workshops with the ability to register online. I'm going to use social media outlets, and then I'm going to use my in-house public relations person to send out press releases. So it's important when we get to the budget page, which is next, that you address all of the things both in your opportunity that you've described above and in your marketing plan in the budget. Because if I see here, I'm going to create a special web page with the ability to register online, and I don't see that in your budget, then that's going to put up a red flag to me. So just make sure you go through all of your narrative and make sure your budget line items match what you say you're going to do. Then we have questions about whether you've been funded in the past, and if so, just let us know and let us know how the opportunity is going. The date opportunity begins should be within our grant cycle, which is October through August. Usually it's not, usually these opportunities aren't necessarily dated, but we just want to know that you're going to be able to start whatever it is you're proposing to do, within a 12-month period. Then you click what parishes your opportunity will serve and other demographic information. We don't use this information in terms of reviewing the application. These are just demographic questions we like to have on file for, many of our funders request information like this. So I'm going to click Save and Proceed. And another thing I'll note is if you're in the application and you click Save and Proceed, and you have not answered one of these questions that is listed in red with an asterisk, it's not going to let you move on because those are required questions. So, you can stick something in there as a placeholder, just don't forget to come back and change it if you want to move through the application. But it will tell you. You're not going to be able to leave anything that's required blank because the system will not allow you to submit it that way. So to talk to you a little bit about the budget, it's important to construct the budget. The total budget of opportunity, we want to see from you how much it's going to cost in total to execute this idea. This number may be the same as what you're requesting from LCEF, or it may be higher. But we want to see what is the total so that we know what all you're putting into it. So this is a very, very rough budget that I've constructed. But it's just to kind of give you an idea. So my budget is $5,000. So the total line item budget equals my total budget of opportunity. My line items add up to $5,000. And then my amount requested from LCEF is $2,500 because that's the maximum grant. So because the amount I'm requesting is less than my total budget, in this question, other funding sources, I have to explain where I'm going to get the other $2,500. And I'm letting LCEF know that I've already talked to a business that's offered to match these funds. So you can say either we have the money in-house to pay for it, we've applied for other grants, we have other dedicated funds, you're going to get matching funds, anything like that, just so that we know that you can cover the total budget of the opportunity. Back to the line item budget, I have made this very general just for the purpose of this discussion, but if you're requesting money for supplies or equipment, hopefully you have detailed out what supplies those are, what equipment those are, and exactly how much that's going to cost, and that you've done your research and your homework. And it doesn't look like just, when we see a general line item, $2,500 equipment, it's going to put up a red flag. We're going to want to know that you've researched into the situation to know how much it costs and can present a realistic budget. Okay, further down, we ask if funds will be used for consultant or professional services. If you're going to pay any consultant or person, we won't cover fees for any of your in-house staff time, but we will cover fees for outside consultants to be hired. So, for example, I have, my web consultant I'm going to hire to put together this new web page. And then I have a little bit about what she's going to do for me, a little bit about her experience, that she has years of experience and has many reputable clients. And then I'm going to put a reference to her web page so that you can go and make sure she's, a reputable designer that I'm hiring. Finally, you have the opportunity to upload attachments. For the nonprofit application, we require an annual operating budget, a list of your board of directors, and either your most recent tax form or 990. That's pretty straightforward. That's pretty straightforward information that I know most of you are used to submitting with applications. The new thing that we're requiring for this year is work samples. So for nonprofits, this is going to be a little bit different than individuals or businesses where you can, put up some of the work that you do. Because we will want to see, something related to what you're proposing if that's possible. So you can upload pictures, you can upload JPEGs, or even a Microsoft Word document with pictures, and you can write some captions in it explaining what you're trying to do. So if you have any questions about specifically what would be the best thing for you to upload with your application, you can feel free to give me a call or send me an email. I am just going to position it that whatever you feel is going to be something that will greatly support the information that's in your application in a visual way is what you should upload. We haven't had this before because we don't really judge these applications on artistic merit or anything like that. They're more judged on the quality of the business idea. But in the competitiveness of the process, our review committee has now requested work samples, just so we can kind of see pictures or get an idea, especially if it's kind of a conceptual idea that you may want to do a sketch or something for. You can't upload videos. However, you can upload a Microsoft Word document that has a list that will send us to YouTube or Vimeo or, other websites where you have your work. So you can do that, but you can't upload video or audio directly to the application. So that's the end of the application. When you get to this point at the end of your budget and you click Save and Proceed, you're going to get the Review Your Application screen. So this now has the complete application that you've just typed in. You can go through and review the answers to all of your questions. And then if you're satisfied with this and you're ready to submit, you can click Submit. If you need to come back and answer at a later date, you can click Save Only, and then you'll be able to log in again. This is also where, I mentioned earlier that we have a draft review deadline of August 15th. If you'd like Dorian or I to review a draft of your application, you can click Save Only, and then you can give us a call, and we'll go ahead and log in here and check it out for you. And just, we can advise as to whether we think your application is competitive. We can advise as to, whether we think you've answered all the questions that we may have. So in terms of those kinds of things, we can review your draft. I think Dorian has notified me that someone had a question about how to access the application through the website. So I'm going to go, I'm going to go back and do that again. I did it earlier in the presentation, but just in case you joined late or you missed it, I'm going to go back and do it again. So we're on the home page of culturaleconomy.org. We have this little scroll bar that has, little news stories and things. So the first thing in our scroll bar is this EOF online web seminars. That's what you're on right now. You scroll to the next thing. It says 2012 EOF applications are now open. This headline is also below in this clickable menu bar right here, 2012 EOF online grant applications. Click on that to get to here, or click read more. When you click read more under the 2012 EOF applications open story, you get these 3 buttons here. So then you would click the appropriate apply now for business, nonprofit, individual, and then like I showed you before, when you click on one of those buttons, that takes you to the login page of the online system. And then you can click here to return back to the cultural economy website. I also had gone through the guidelines earlier, which if you click on EOF grant, this drop-down menu, and you click guidelines, you can find out more information about the guidelines of grant program. I'm going to bring your attention to this box, helpful hints for writing a successful grant application. I'm going to click read more. Under this helpful hints, I recommend everyone read this just to kind of, put your head in where, what the best way to construct this application is. Also, here we have a listing of the criteria that is used by reviewers to rate the application. So clarity and specificity of proposal, make sure you have a third party read it to make sure it makes sense and all the pieces are together. Innovation and creativity, this is an extremely important part of our guidelines. We want to know that this is a unique idea, maybe unique to your organization, maybe unique in general, like no one else is doing anything like this before. The more creative you can be, the more competitive your application is going to be. That's not to say we're not going to fund something that's, like a workshop. Well, a workshop isn't so great and unique, but this, the way this opportunity came to us is unique, or, the way we're going to be conducting it is unique, or it's just a great opportunity for us to earn new income and, the opportunity presented itself. So that's just a guideline. We also want to know that based on the budget presented, you will be able to realize the opportunity with our grant funds. We want to know that you're going to be able to capitalize on the earned income opportunity. So that's important when we talk about establishing demand, showing that you have the connections, showing some way that you know that there's a market out there for people to want to pay for whatever it is you're proposing. We look at the potential it has to increase your earned income. And if, this is not a requirement, but if the opportunity benefits the cultural economy as a whole, it's going to strengthen your application. So those are the things we look at when we're reviewing applications. I have a question from someone that asks about new program operation expense. Well, if you're creating a new program and you have expenses specifically related to that program that you wouldn't have before, then that's something we will cover. But we're not going to cover staff time. We're not going to cover rent. We're not going to cover building expense, utilities, things like that. So, if it's still a little vague and you need some guidance about what kind of specific things we would fund, please get in touch with me. You are welcome to send, you can email me your line item budget and I can go through it. Now, if you have the line item budget already put together and it includes all those things, definitely submit that. But just those won't be the things funded through the LCEF request. I think it's important to show us all of those expenses, though, that you thought about all those things. The other thing that I wanted to mention about the program expenses is, I forgot. But Dorian just told me that someone asked something about fiscal agent information. If you're using a fiscal agent, the fiscal agent, the organization information is submitted for the application, and the fiscal agent information is submitted only in that fiscal agent section. Was that the question?
They wanted to know that for the operating budget book directors and tax form, do they use the fiscal agent information on theirs, and they have to be theirs? Right?
Unless they don't have it. No, the fiscal agent information has to be the financial information, but like, for example, board of directors, if the, it should be the fiscal agent's information. If the organization has a board of directors, they can upload their board of directors, but the fiscal, I'm sorry, I'm not making this clear, the financial information should be the fiscal agent's information.
The fiscal agent's tax ID.
Yes. Yeah, it has to be the fiscal agent's tax ID number. Sorry. If you have, like, if you want to go through the specific steps of applying through a fiscal agent, give us a call. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, I don't have any questions in my box. Oh, yes, I do have questions. But I'm going to, okay. Dorian has answered many of the questions. So, okay, some people are saying that their questions were answered in the presentation. If you have a question that you would like to ask verbally, you can go ahead and click the raising your hand icon in the attendee list. And I'll let you ask the question verbally, and I'll go ahead and give the verbal answer. Or do we have any other general questions that you want me to answer? Because I'm not having any more typed questions. Everyone's lines are muted. You want me to read through the questions you've already answered? Okay. Dorian's answered a bunch of questions, but since they may have been answered privately, I don't know what people can see. Okay, someone asked, if you joined late, how do you access the actual grant application? So I think I went back and did that again. Oh, also let me point out the downloads. Here under EOF Grant Downloads, if you click here, you can get a sample of the actual application right here, sample nonprofit EOF application or any of the others. You can download that as a PDF and print it out. That way you have the whole thing in front of you. Oh, and the other thing I forgot to mention was that if you're constructing the answers to these questions in Microsoft Word, which is probably much easier to do than typing in that little box they give you on the online application, you need to, when you copy and paste it into your application, you need to copy it from Microsoft Word into either TextEdit or Notepad, depending if you have Mac or PC, and then paste it into the application. Because Microsoft Word has some kind of unknown characters that we can't see that add characters. So you might check the characters and say it's within 2,000 characters. You try to paste it, it doesn't work. So it's best to filter it through one of those either Notepad or TextEdit programs. We fund only new program expenses as opposed to regular operations. That is correct. We don't fund any operational expenses or program expenses for programs that already exist. Will we fund a guest artist or guest choreographer? The answer is yes, if that relates specifically to your earned income opportunity. So that means, if by hiring this guest artist to come in, one of the side benefits of that person coming in is that you're going to earn extra money, either from people paying to see them or paying to learn from them or whatever it is.
Even if they have a different role, if they're like the administrator of the nonprofit, they can't pay themselves as a guest artist.
Right. You can't pay yourself as a guest artist if you work for the nonprofit. But if you have, a guest artist literally that you want to pay to come to your city, then that is probably a valid expense. Usually in terms of, what do we fund, what do we not fund, with these Economic Opportunity Fund grants, it makes more sense to look at the overall opportunity that you're applying for. So what is it? What is the goal? What are you trying to accomplish? What exactly is the opportunity to earn income? And then we can say what kinds of things we fund from that. Just asking me a line item, do you fund this line item? It depends on what the outcome is going to be. So it's hard to answer just those line item questions just in a vacuum without knowing all the other facts involved. But like I said earlier, if you have questions about your specific application, please do call our office. It's 504-895-2800. You can find it on this side scroll bar. I have it up here, and our email is lisa@culturaleconomy.org or dorian@culturaleconomy.org, and you can speak to either one of us on the phone, and we can answer your questions. Can you? Okay. For current operating budget board of directors, do we use fiscal agents? We already answered that. Will funding cover outreach or advertising for cultural programs or workshops? The answer to that is only if it is related to a brand new opportunity. We won't cover outreach or advertising for existing programs or workshops. Are there any other new changes to the application not covered in this webinar? If you applied with us before, I think the main change is that number one, nonprofits were only allowed up to $2,500 this year, which is an unfortunate change and something that we're hopefully not going to keep that way. But the second thing was the upload of work samples. We've never required that before. So, that's going to be on a specific case-by-case basis. The way I'm explaining it is that whatever you feel is going to strengthen your request in terms of visual examples, that's what I recommend you upload. It can be JPEGs, it can be pictures inserted into a Microsoft Word document, and you can do a caption explanation. You can upload a Microsoft Word document that has a list of web links, maybe to YouTube or whatever, with video examples, anything like that. Just be creative in what you want to submit in terms of the work samples to upload. That's the last question I have. I'm looking at our attendees one more time, and there are no hands raised. So I'm going to conclude the webinar now. I really appreciate your time and joining us on this Friday afternoon. Hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And again, feel free to give us a call, and we look forward to hearing your unique ideas and seeing your applications. Good luck to everyone. Thank you so much.